Scott Carle, thanks for coming back.
I've come back.
You have come back.
We're admitting that. Okay.
Thanks for making your comeback. No, we're going to do this a second time, right? Because new to this whole podcast thing, we had some sound issues, believe it or not, which is not a commentary on the sandwich shop and the sound here, because that's where we're recording today. I think we'll have a little bit more success. We're going to talk about Dillon Fence, and we're going to talk about Outside In, your second album, and talk a little bit about the impact that it had in the Chapel Hill scene at the time. Talk a little bit about, I feel like the last couple podcasts we've done have been about, the late 80s, early 90s in Chapel Hill, Durham, Raleigh. We could just call it, the I-85 corridor, if we will, and what it did for pop music, not only in, North Carolina, but also really the Southeast. And we can talk about all the cross-pollination that
and the Northeast.
Happened. And the Northeast, too.
We recorded it.
And we'll talk about that recording session. You guys started Dillon Fence, we're talking, if I remember correctly, 90, 91-ish when you guys...
Well, they had it in 88.
Earlier.
Greg and Chris were in the trash, and then Kent and Greg went to Carolina, and they... put it together before I joined them. The Pitts brothers, Trent played. Brooke played first with them a little bit, and then Trent came on board, and he was the drummer who recorded with them that iconic EP, which was put in my hands and caused a lot of excitement in my mind and ears. I loved it from the get-go, and so I joined him in October of 1989.
So I'm off by a number of years.
I said no. In '89, I auditioned at a frat house with them. I just stopped playing with the Bad Checks for a little bit.
Right.
And then I watched Trent play the frat party that night, and everyone was so nice, and I was really enthused of the interest in original music.
Sure.
Kind of blew me away.
Sure.
It's a real scene, and I'm 6 years older, so out of college, and been working in the engineering realm, and I'm in this scene going, this is a scene, this is positive, and that led to us doing CMJ in New York at the Lismar Lounge, and that's when it started to build and grow. And Frank would throw us open slots like for Scruffy the Cat at the Cat's Cradle, and he understood the value of that, supporting local. And then we started continuing playing frat parties and clubs, and that's when Rosemary happened. We signed to Mammoth, and then that happened. So I won't talk much about that. We'll get to that later. But then to Outside In, right? Sure. Which was the second album. And that was produced by Lou Giordano. And we did it in Boston.
Right.
And I think for a lot of people, it was different from Rosemary. All the three albums, the full lengths are different. And they're beautiful in their own way. And Outside In had a flavor and a vibe and a sound, of course, production-wise. But it had some kind of, we just did our thing, and some magic came out.
Yeah, agree.
In our opinion, and others' opinions, people.
I feel like, and we'll talk about the progression of the albums just from EP, the yellow cassette, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how Rosemary really, I guess, was the breakthrough for y'all. We could consider it that.
No doubt.
You're signed to Mammoth. You guys record Rosemary, and you guys were prolific for touring like crazy. So
that's an understatement. Yes, Mammoth was smart. We put out a little 3-song EP that we did with John Pluml and Steve Grombach, which had Playful on it in the sound, and Christmas.
Right.
A great song that Greg wrote.
Right.
To this day, still means a lot to a lot of people. And that was before Rosemary, the setup, and then Rosemary, came out and. Sold really well right off the bat. I was told something crazy, like some numbers in the first week or two, but 30,000 units on compact disc.
Which was a big deal.
Available on cassette also. And as what we didn't talk about the last time was back to the Pitts brothers is, I came in and replaced Trent on drums. He didn't want to do it and go through all the mess that's involved of just touring.
Sure.
And so I'm the new guy. I'm like, when Neil Peart joined Rush, he was always, hey, I'm the new guy, because I'm not the original guy.
Right.
And he could always say, I'm the new guy. That allows me to talk about what I think of the music and the songwriting, and how wonderful it was to me, to my ears.
You were literally the fresh perspective. Right?
Yeah, and I told them, I said, you guys are really on to something here with the EP. And they said, really? You think so? I said, yeah, I think so. You got something here. Even though this is yeah. And I was only a little older, but I had more listening experience and certainly more concert going experience because I came up going to concerts. The first show I ever saw was The Who in Greensboro in 75.
Wow.
And then, of course, I've been to clubs and played the clubs, but I had seen so much and heard so much, and I was, of course, going to the clubs all the time at that point. You know, I was way into Root Boy Slim. I was a Bad Check's disciple before I joined them. Yeah. Just Southern Culture, all those bands,
right.
Connells. And when Rosemary popped, and that's when they began to book us heavily. The first year, let me think, 250 shows. I have the calendars to prove it. Second year, we did 185. I mean, think about that. It's insanity. How did we do it?
It sounds like the pace of young people.
And the energy from the audiences were great, and people were following us around a lot. Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina. You know, we went down did Georgia, Florida, and then, of course, D.C. and all through Virginia. And then that spread up to New York. We played New York all the time. Yeah. And then once the records were out, then we went to Chicago. I think the first time we really, truly left town as a support act was the Flat Duo Jets with Dex.
Okay.
And Tim Crow. And Todd Goss on sound. And that was a big deal, going to the Midwest with him. And it was an odd pairing, but it worked. And that was around the Rosemary time, right before.
Do you feel like you coming in kind of as the older member, having experience playing live a lot more, you say, hey guys, new perspective, knowing that you had to play out to get that local following, but also you got the perspective of performing probably more in understanding what getting a room excited about the band is about. Maybe kind of drives that touring schedule you're talking about.
Well, maybe a little bit, but I have to give them props because they were so smart and so cool about doing the first EP and realizing it was crucial at that time to get it out on compact disc, which that was when the technology just dropped. And yep. I think they were as far as I know, one of the first North Carolina bands to do it. They saved their money. They went to the studio. They did it. It was available on cassette, LP, and then compact disc. So they were really smart with that. But they were smart about the other things too. And they had played some, and I brought in some, maybe an energy I don't think I gave much advice. Maybe I can't remember, but we sort of advised each other. They were good for me in that they brought in a good youthful perspective, and conversations in the van and vice versa. So, but yeah, I think in one Record Exchange article, I think one of the questions was something. One of the guys said, "Scott loves clothes, and he helps us with fashion." I don't really remember much of that. I think I was wearing creepers at the time, but we went from wearing shorts and stuff to let's wear jeans, and then we were always thrift shopping. It was fun. It's really fun to go to 40 Watt, and even TJ Maxx in those days was really cool for clothing. You know what I mean? And you're trying to, that was a big thing at that time, even in the mainstream with major artists and then MTV, that you really tried to find a fashion that worked for you, and we were all about that. Going to thrift stores and buying some cool stuff. And that was a really big scene. But I thought that was funny.
Have the fashion sense to
But
tour correctly.
I tried my best and we'd talk about that stuff and touring. And again, they were really smart people, and we knew what you had to do to tour like that. You had to stay healthy and find the good ethnic food on the road and try to get sleep. And we really weren't big drinkers or partiers. We chose those battles, and occasionally celebrated. But it was strictly business, but also strictly fun. We kept it. We kept those things in moderation.
Very cool.
So I was proud of them, and because a lot of bands, you have issues and
you hit the road and burn out fast.
You can burn out. I mean, there were times we would burn out. We would come home after a long weekend, and it's a Sunday, 3, 4 in the morning, and we kind of missed all the parties or weddings, and that's par for the course. But at the same time, honestly, those heavy tour years were rewarding in that we had to do it because we were doing our job, but also spreading a lot of love and joy with the music. That all goes back to the songs.
Right.
And Greg wrote great songs, and
Absolutely.
so did Kent, and so did Chris.
Yeah.
And that was a vital part of the band for me as the new guy to be able to say that, to go, great songs, guys, great songwriters, and they were just doing their thing at the time. They,
So you came in kind of as the sounding board, right? I mean,
Sometimes,
you had that
yeah.
luxury of being that rather than
yeah.
involved in the long-term dynamics.
Well,
of it.
it was early on the sounding board, but then it became an organic thing where Greg would, for example, bring a song in 4-track on a cassette, and we would help arrange it and work it out and practice, and and then do pre-production demos, at the Cradle after hours at 2 a.m, or
right.
At the Yellow House.
The Yellow
And
House.
we would always do pre-production, and some of that stuff was releasable, and then with the label Mammoth, you'd go to big studio.
Sure. And let's talk about that. Let's
Yep.
talk about the transition from, those sort of the Cat's Cradle demos, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Caleb Southern.
Caleb Southern, who's
Right.
great. Yeah,
Right.
he was.
and how that to me that fueled a lot of the recordings that turned into real production music.
Mm-hmm.
People kind of goofing around and figuring it out. But you're on Mammoth already. You've got Rosemary out there. You toured it like crazy. It's time to make the second record.
Yep.
And you hook up with Lou Giordano. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, Lou was Husker Du's sound man back in the day, and Mammoth was very good at, and we were just seeking out producers, and we had a list, and he was finally decided on and chosen. Seemed like the right guy, and as I remember, it didn't take a lot of him telling us much, just talking.
Now he was known for being kind of a punk guy, right?
Definitely.
So
Yeah.
you guys weren't that
No.
necessarily. So how did that just make sense still? for
It
you
just
guys?
made sense, yeah, because those guys that do that, they're diverse and they're versatile. He was a music guy, and he really liked what he heard from the demos. So it happened kind of fast, and we decided to do it. So we drive up to Boston.
You went to Apache.
Apache, oh yeah, what an honor, right? And it's one of the coldest winters ever. And my family, my dad was from Massachusetts, and my aunt's house was right up the street. It was surreal to be back in that neighborhood. It's kind of cool. And anyway, very cold. And we went in there and we knocked it out pretty fast. The rhythm tracks were done quick because Chris Goods is the man. He locks in with me, and we were finished. And it was a really enjoyable experience. When I was done, I remember going to see Juliana Hatfield at the Boston College Arena opening for B-52s. That was kind of cool.
The most 90s bill ever, perhaps.
Right. I was
in
done,
Boston.
so I got the perks of being finished with your tracks, right?
Yeah.
And the recording process was pretty straightforward, and not bare bones, but not bare bones, and songs like Collapsus that came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
We recorded them, and then it came out sounding that way, and then of course being mixed. And each of those songs on that record, holds up by itself, in my opinion.
I agree. And there's a diversity of sounds on those songs throughout the record.
No doubt.
Collapsus has its own sound and its own longer life, right, as a band. But is that attributable to different people contributing the writing to that?
I think so.
Can you bounce around the album and say like, oh, that's Greg's idea or Scott's, or what does that look like?
Well, Ken had 2 songs on that record
Okay.
that were really special, and the fan base loved those. And then Greg's songs, he even did the acoustic track, Union Grove, which is brilliant.
It is.
And the album closer that he brought in, Hard to Please. I mean, the Stevie Wonder,
Yeah.
And Chris's, all of his contributions, his melodic bass playing on those songs really was amazing, and his backing vocal and Kent's backing vocal. Those guys together are great. Chris really added some great stuff on the vocal end. But yeah, each song we had already had it together pretty much. But when you get in the studio, there's always that, oh, okay, we're under the microscope. But what I remember, it just felt relaxed.
Did you guys have a lot of it already prepared? You talked about Greg bringing out like a demo that he'd recorded.
That was the format that we usually did, and we would rehearse, and we tried to be prepared. So yeah, most songs, we didn't build them in the studio. We recorded them and built them in the ways they needed to be built.
Okay.
Finished,
Sure.
Right.
So you're laying down basic tracks, and then finishing touches, the magic of the studio happens.
Yeah, and that was Lou was, and my I remember my uncle Leland brought us lasagna he'd made he lived in New Bedford, and he always got to see him recording in Massachusetts, and that was an epic moment. He took him 2 days to make it, and he used the Portuguese sausage and all that and all the ingredients. Yeah, it was.
I'm hungry.
It's one of the moments I remember Lou wasn't talking much as he ate that.
Do you feel like this was relatively sort of bare bones? I mean, did you as far as like budget, did you guys have already budget from Mammoth to go in there and kind of knock it out? Or was it sort of
I think it was
quick
a low
and dirty?
I think it was a low and fair budget. I don't think it was dirt cheap, but it wasn't anything crazy. And that's the beauty of Fort Apache and the combination of Lou Giordano and us.
Okay.
Being Dillon Fence was super efficient, in my opinion, in that regard. So I think, I really don't know the deal that we got or all that, but I'm pretty sure that it wasn't high dollar, but it was very it was well done, efficient and proficient. And I do remember Tanya Donnelly dropping by.
Really?
Throwing Muses. I'm a big Throwing Muses head. Oh,
tell me about that.
And well, she just popped because she knows Gary up there, Apache and everybody, and the staff up there is so cool. And she popped her head in, and we were a little. Of course, we were big Belly fans too.
Sure.
But I think other people might have dropped by, but that one was. I remember that.
That's very cool. Now there's one X cover.
Oh yeah, we were.
And
World's a Mess.
Rumor is that you're kind of an X fan. If I'm
we
mistaken.
all are, but yeah, we Chris and I, Greg, loved X. All four of us. And I thought that I'm not sure. I think Greg might have made that call. Could be wrong, but that was a great. Whoever made the call, we collectively agree. But that was a great call for a cover. Super.
Yeah.
And we recorded it at Wave Castle in Hillsborough, and we were tired from touring, and they made me do the horrific Exene Cervenka female vocal part in the middle, and it works, but it's pretty raunchy.
Yeah.
But it's still fun. It's a good cover. And it's on the 45 B-side for Black Eyed Susan, which was pressed in England.
Okay.
I have about 6 copies of that probably. Yeah, I think it's out there on Discogs and certain things, but that led us later to. It didn't lead us specifically, but we ironically ended up touring with X. I'm trying to remember if maybe what happened first. It seemed like we might have done that after the tour. We toured the summer of '93 with X, which was amazing.
I've seen the poster.
That's on. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that the last time. I think there's a
we
poster
talked about
around there.
who we played with. And played with the Lemonheads, and I mean, who didn't play with us? I mean, Blind Melon opened for us when they came from L.A. to write, and Letters to Cleo, and of course we played with Lush, my favorite, top 10 of all time, and Weezer was on that bill, and that led to Black Crowes, Hootie and the Blowfish. A lot of people played with us.
Yeah, and so you get this album recorded, you get it released, and you're back on the road, right?
Mm-hmm,
We're talking about it right now.
Oh yeah.
What was not only? Let's talk about what's the local perception? Chapel Hill scene was notorious at the time for having a love-hate relationship with success. Do you know what I mean?
I think so. Some people. Yes and no.
That there was like, once you quote got out of Chapel Hill, then clearly you're going to be sold out. But I was in school in Chapel Hill at the time.
Right. So
it was a big freaking deal.
You can
right?
talk about that, yeah.
Yeah, I could talk about it. When you guys put out that second album, and I saw the response, in the press. We can talk about the local record exchange magazine, but you guys were getting press at that time, and you were also back on the road. Sure, the label wanted you guys to tour it like crazy.
Yeah, we had a publicist, sure.
Yeah, what's the bigger response to it outside of, say, the Triangle?
My perception and feeling was that it was really great and positive. That album, people, where did this come from?
Yeah,
it was a different direction. It was an evolution. We just changed. We were still doing Daylight and Sad Inheritance, of course, and the guys wrote these songs, and the response was good. A couple of my friends flipped out. I mean, just completely lost it when they popped it in, and Collapsus dropped in the car. And Rob Clay, my buddy from Park Life and Craven Melon, he said he had to pull over.
Yeah.
I don't think he was exaggerating. He said he got dizzy from it.
Yeah.
And I remember Mike Connell telling me, he's like, well, this is it. You've arrived and you're on your way to the stratosphere. Because it affected him in that way. It affected these guys in that way. Norwood Cheek's another. He did the video for that song.
Right.
Along with Grady. And they were affected in that way. They loved that song, said, this is really something.
It has my opinion, it's a sound of the time, right? Because there's a lot of, I would say, similar stuff kind of brewing. I don't know, I'll call it the southern scene, the Sun Belt scene, if you will, right? Everybody touring all the way from Athens up to Chapel Hill, Charleston, obviously, and other places like that where there's kind of strong music scenes, but it stands out, right?
I agree.
It has its own sound. It's not just Athens jangle pop.
No, right, exactly.
Right. You can hear, that sort of influence, but it's nowhere near a copy of any of that.
It was so original, and the way the song on the album, it just appears, and you're immediately there. You're falling backwards, that rush.
Yeah.
And Greg really did something special there, and even the lyrics, what he's saying, means so much to me. I mean, when we first saw the video that Norwood Cheek flew back from Los Angeles, he came to my house at Forest Road in Durham, and he and I and Ron Snuggs popped in a VHS. And it was quite a moment in my life. It was extremely emotional, powerful. And Ron Snuggs said, can we watch it again? And we watched it, must have been 4 or 5 times. And I remember Norwood being so pleased how much we loved the video.
Yeah.
We couldn't get enough of it. And it's just, in ways, a simple video, yet it's not. It captures a song, and it's just a beautiful, powerful song to me and others.
And how was that, putting that video together?
You could ask Norwood that. You need to do a podcast with him.
For you guys.
Oh, that was fun. Yeah. We shot it over at a space in Hillsboro, and it was a big vacant spot, and we invited some people. Peel Wimberly was there from the Connells, and we lit all the... what were we thinking? We lit a bunch of candles. It could have been a fire blaze, right?
Yeah.
And we just shot it there, and he shot it. We played to the song many, many, many times. Turned into a wonderful party gathering.
Right.
But we were real careful with the candles. I recommend anyone that hadn't seen the video to watch it.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, and some of it was shot over at a house in Chapel Hill with some young people who are now adults, little kids. Right?
Yeah.
And that was a beautiful experience. And the way Norwood put that together, and again, worked with the budget, helped us out.
Yeah.
Editing, etc.,
The sort of the DIY Chapel Hill
a little bit
approach,
of that, yeah. But I think maybe back to what you said about the exclusion in the scene, living room scene, which Greg wrote about later.
Right.
He was dead on the money.
Yep.
We weren't early on maybe perceived or accepted to the hardcore indie scene, but we loved that scene, and we were friends with those people, and we supported those people, and we were fans of all those people. I mean, even Zen Frisbee, we liked Zen Frisbee, and there was indie avant-garde as you can get. And,
pretty much.
We were always nice about it, and I think maybe this record, maybe some people thought, oh, well, wow, this isn't,
This
a
isn't
jangle
indie
tune.
enough. Yeah.
It was pretty. It was heady.
Yeah.
And it was heavy, but it's so melodic to me, and others.
It definitely, for me, stands out. You guys always stood out from a lot of the Chapel Hill scene that was, but everybody had their own sound too.
Agreed.
Unique
That's
sound.
what made it beautiful, yes.
It was absolutely beautiful. And you could go see you guys on the bill, and, the next night you could go see Superchunk, or
at the party.
Early on you could go see the Velt do their shtick.
Do their show.
Fantastic.
And Johnny Quest.
Quest. I mean, we could name band after
Queen
band.
Sarah Saturday.
Queen Sarah Saturday.
What Peggy Wants.
Chicken Wire Gang.
Chicken Wire.
Everybody,
culture,
right? We could just drop names all day long. But, you guys have this sort of sound that I maybe started jiving also with more bands outside the scene, right?
I agree with that.
And you start touring. You start touring with guys like infamously Hootie and the Blowfish, right? Which had their own sound and blew everybody's minds. With Darius got that big booming voice with on top of Southern rock, and then you guys tour with them kind of up and down. Funny, Hootie and the Blowfish don't show up in Chapel Hill, infamously, until you guys kind of helped make that happen, right?
Right, and they were always wanting to get in the Cradle.
Yeah,
and for whatever reason, I don't know, maybe the name always kind of not bothered people, but it's like, who is this Hootie and the Blowfish? And the story behind that's funny. But finally, we got them to open for us at the Cradle in 1990, and they were so pleased with that, and we were too. And we were a great bill together. We used to go down and do shows with them early on, and they did that with us. They would open for us, and vice versa. Years later, they were signed to JRS, and that deal fell apart. So they said, "Oh, let's just keep doing our thing," and then they sold all those copies of Coochie Pop, which led to the Atlantic signings, which is a great story. It's redemption, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Etc. But I'm trying to think back. I lost the thought. Somebody else played with us a lot. We played with so many groups, but I know Queen Sarah opened for us quite a bit.
Yeah.
They were a phenomenal band. They were hard to follow.
Yes.
Queen Sarah Saturday out of Durham. And I think they must have played with us an estimate at least 70 times. And also What Peggy Wants, which was a great band, formerly Teasing the Korean with John Enslin, Tim Rovin, Tom Maxwell, Jeff Taylor.
Right.
And they played a lot of shows with us, but then everyone else also played with us. We would get put on bills with just a lot of cool Psychosonic Cindy. I mean, just anybody.
Oh, wow.
Remember that band?
Yeah, absolutely.
God bless him. So many groups obviously wanted to play with us because of, to get in front of people and everything, but also we had this friendship and camaraderie with everybody. We really supported each other, and I think a lot of those bands you're talking about that had a negative attitude, they never really left town.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes total sense.
They never really left the area.
Right.
And it's hard to do.
Yeah.
You got to be committed to it, and sometimes you got to spend the money to make money. You got to lose money. You got to do it, and it's a commitment.
I'll make a personal comment. I can still hear it whenever you and I talk. We'll talk a little bit later about what Dillon Fence is doing now and what you've done over the past week.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh wow.
But when you say, "Hey, I didn't see you at the show. You missed a great show." That's that kind of sort of support, that sort of making sure you're showing up for everybody else's show that I think made Chapel Hill special. And you could hear it in some of the older guys' mentality of like, hey, man, did you know these guys are playing? They're getting back together, or you need to come see this band play. Mm-hmm. That's what you always heard. It wasn't just always the papers at the kiosk stapled up, but people would talk about it. And that sort of support, I think, made the Chapel Hill scene really special, that even if your sounds were crazy, it wasn't just like, oh, just show up at the punk show, or just show up at the, let's just say, straightforward indie rock show. everybody went to everything. I mean,
everybody really did.
You know, you had Chris Holloway and I were talking a month ago, and we were talking about the Public Enemy show that happened that weird Sunday night.
No, it was 5:30 in the afternoon at the Cradle, because that night they played Central's Homecoming.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know how that went down.
5:30 in the afternoon was there. It was a very wild, wonderful, but a yet dangerous scene. It was like, something's going to happen here.
Yeah.
This place is going to get bombed. I mean, there was an unreal sense of danger to me in that room. But as far as, you know, Public Enemies in town and is it going to be any, crazy Nazis coming to the show?
Right. But that was the whole thing. It's like they were a little dangerous because of what they were saying.
Exactly. They were telling the truth.
They were telling the absolute truth.
Chuck D was the man.
He, poet laureate of hip hop, one of them, right? But he, they had that shtick, and the whole their dancers and everything that was going on.
It was unreal.
It was fantastic.
Terminator X.
Terminator X, that's right. And they would show up at the Cradle, and then the next night out, it could be you guys, or it could be...
Next night could be Guar.
Yes, and I remember those Guar shows at the Cradle, right? If you want to see something like a bizarre whiplash sort of approach to show after show...
Yeah.
But everybody still rolled out for it, and that's what made it exciting to me.
Big time, yeah, man. It was exciting.
Yeah,
I'm glad you were there.
Yeah, I'm glad we all were there and survived. Right?
Everybody, I hear people at our shows. They'll say, "Oh, I'm old," or they'll say, "I feel old," but I always say, "But we're alive."
Yeah,
and you got to experience all this. And now, what's encouraging is the younger people in their 30s, 20s, they're experiencing this too. They're coming out to shows. We had an amazing turnout in Lincoln of young people, teenagers, kids.
Yeah, and
just this Saturday, and they're getting it from. It's not just the kids of the parents that turn them on to our and everybody's music. They're getting it from the internet.
Yeah,
and they're reading and they're hearing, and some even on the radio.
Sure, and
that's so encouraging. They're diving deep to find this stuff, right?
And so it's got to be encouraging because you're not just a nostalgia thing. It's not just like, hey,
it holds up. Yeah.
The old man's going to take me to a Dillon Fence show and let's, go hang out at the Lincoln together for Christmas.
Everything good holds up.
Yes.
I'm in Vietnam and Saigon, and the Filipino cover band is great. And they're doing Deep Purple, Highway Star, and crushing it. And no one cares that it's from the 70s. People went ballistic. A good song is always a good song. B.B. King, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Anything, sure. And sometimes I get mad at the cynical people here, and it doesn't matter when it was made, man. That's what.
No, and the internet's forever. If you wanted to, I made the crazy deep dive into. Let's go see how much old Dillon Fence stuff that's out there. And it's like student television from UNC does an interview with you guys. That's out there. So if you wanted to time capsule this
time capsule's fun, to see. And we were so young then. It's hilarious.
It is funny, but it's also, I feel like the internet gives younger people who are rediscovering that stuff or discovering for the first time some sense of ownership that you had when you went to the show at the Cradle in 1992.
I'd like to add, too, about Dillon Fence. They have some early material before I joined them. This great old stuff that had this amazing sense of humor. Songs like Baby on Board, written by Ken Alfin, and Toads a la Mode, and Va-Voom, Twist and Turn, and Free Loaf was a song we did when I joined them. And all these old numbers. And one of my favorite, Preppy Deadhead, which... it still holds up and is relevant now. And they just wrote these songs, and we even had a theme song, the Dillon Fence theme song, which I loved. And we need to dig those up. We should release them if we could, because a lot of my friends and fans mentioned that this last week. Like, we want to hear that. Well, I said, you're not probably going to hear it live. Maybe one, but that would be fun to re-release that, because again, as the new guy, I have to say that they were hitting on something then. It was charming and very fun and humorous and satirical,
Sure.
I really love those old songs. That's another thing that really got me excited about these boys, because we were playing a lot of that at the time and writing new stuff. One song that didn't make it on the EP is called Time Can't. One of my favorite Dillon Fence songs. I mean, It's on the tapes. Be fun to release that. But there's some really good stuff that's not out there yet.
Do you you've got to kind of vault it up? I mean, you guys could just
No, I mean, it's
out.
just a matter of just putting it out. I mean, Greg's been really great lately. He's been remastering and tweaking some demos, like a song "Early Moon" that I believe Caleb worked on. That was the demo, not Caleb, but that was Yellow House. That was before the living room scene, and he's putting these things out. It's really cool, and they're totally listenable. I mean, they're good to go. But he tweaks them, masters them, and I really appreciate him doing that. And it's all about sharing this stuff.
It's like going into your back catalog or your
your
old sketchbooks.
Right, only so much makes it on the records, and this happens for every group. There's always great B-sides and unreleased stuff.
Right. Very cool. It's fun to hear. We could talk about Dillon Fence of the past, but there's a Dillon Fence of the present. You were alluding to it. We talked about it. You guys are still playing together in a lot of different forms, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes lineup changes a little bit.
Very
I think you're
little.
Still behind drums for the most part.
Usually it's the original lineup, unless somebody it's usually a scheduling issue.
Yeah.
Or something like that, or even family stuff,
Right.
So we have people that can come in and play guitar. Mm-hmm. And that's a nice problem to have, I guess, because it's hard these days, even for young bands, to just get everybody together, get them to a rehearsal, commit to a show, because so much going on now.
Sure. And you guys just played, I know it's not every December, but you guys have in the past, and this year's no different. You played a string of shows in North Carolina, which is great. A lot of I would say the bigger venues or the more popular venues, good rooms, you're talking about Gray Eagle,
it was
Lincoln.
A 4-day run in a row. And Greg was very helpful and instrumental in putting that together with his agent. And they decided to do a Wednesday in Asheville, which was incredibly well attended. And then Thursday, Charlotte, the neighborhood theater, packed, sold out. Then Ziggy's in Greensboro, the new little Ziggy's, sold that out. And then Raleigh, Lincoln, Saturday night, sold that out.
What's the crowd like now?
The crowd, Scott Spransey, our good friend, noted that each show and each crowd was very different and very good and very special. The first show, was Asheville, people coming in from Knoxville and Spartanburg, more adults at the Gray Eagle, which is phenomenal. And that was a really great warm-up show for us. Then we get to Charlotte, and then it's on. And you're talking about the neighborhood, which is almost like a concert hall.
Right.
And the vibe in there was so righteous. I hadn't felt that in a while from the audience. The band delivered big time, and that crowd was, part old school and old friends and family, but also new people in Charlotte. And, Charlotte's got an urban vibe, which I love.
Sure.
It does.
Yeah.
It's a city.
Right.
And that element was in place. I had people, Duke students that I know, that work with me and are in my coffee shop on campus all the time. They came, traveled in on the train.
Great.
And so you had all these younger people there. And then we get up to Greensboro, and it was definitely a triad crowd, and the Vanguard opened, and there was a good Winston element, and everyone was so friendly. And let me back up, Craven Mellon opened for us.
Okay.
In Charlotte. That was really cool. They were very, very good. And then kind of hard to beat the Charlotte show. And then the Greensboro show was very, very good and different. Mitch Easter came up. John Heems popped on drums at the end. I got up, Mitch played guitar, and they did a Let's Act a song, which for Chris and Greg, it's come full circle. It's almost like, okay, mic drop.
Right. That's fantastic.
I've arrived. That was, for two guys who grew up in Winston and loving all that music. And they played Every Word Means No. And that was special. And Mitch, what a wonderful person. He stayed the whole time. I don't know if he'd ever seen a Dillon Fence show in its entirety, but he did that night. He was back at the soundboard and loved the guitar work that was going on, from what I heard, and talked with everybody and met everybody. It was really special.
Fantastic.
And then back to Raleigh, showed up there, and it's always good at the Lincoln. I'm ready to get in the Cradle too, by the way. It'll happen. It's happening. The new Cradle and the Lincoln show is always just, there's a lot of joy in that room. and people coming together, and you're just watching all these hugs happen. Really special.
Do you feel like the Lincoln's your home theater or your home?
No, not necessarily. It's just it's a winner.
Yeah,
it's a home run every time, just like the Cradle is.
Right.
And we love Frank. We love the Cradle, and it's just a winner, And they take care of you, and we take care of them.
Right. Fantastic. Well, I really appreciate you making the drive again, man.
Oh, yeah.
This has been a good time.
Well, I'm here at the Sandwich Shop. I got to give it a plug.
We have to plug the Sandwich Shop.
The Sandwich Shop is Scotty Sandwich's studio in Oxford.
That's right.
And I was just here, and I got to give my girl from Duke, Claire Berry, a plug. We recorded a track in one night with my boys from a few of the Hank Sinatra guys and Roman Spring guys, and my cover band JFK Jr., Eric Lee, and Matt Peterson, and we laid a track with Scotty. And you can hear Claire Berry. She's on Spotify. Check her out. It's really good. She went to Duke. She's finished. I'm proud of her. I'm proud of Scotty. I love working with Scotty.
We all do. We all do.
I love working with Ryan Pickett down at Stadium Heights in Durham. Those are two great locations that live in our North Carolina universe.
Ryan just did sound for you guys.
Ryan Pickett was running front of house sound for us. What a pro and a friend and advisor, and just a good mojo, along with Scott Wells is the tour manager, and Rick Johnson, and Scott Spranzi and his wife Tammy selling merch. But I'm glad we brought up the Sandwich Shop, because
I think
it's really cool here, and
it's good to be kind of in the home studio. We're here in a place you're familiar with, which is the drum room here at the Sandwich Shop.
I hope the lighting's okay. Got that bright chandelier. By the way, here's the Rosemary. Rick Johnson made these cool laminates for us celebrating the years of Rosemary. Yeah,
you're showing us some of the merch. It's fantastic. So,
and Ron St. Germain did that album. Props to him for, oh my goodness, unreal producer and engineer.
We've got a lot to talk about. I would love to get you in to talk sometime about Collapsus. And get the guys
the band
together.
Collapsus.
Yes, the band Collapsus.
Yeah,
the song Collapsus is fantastic. Led to a subsequent band, which has also got its own life.
Mike Garrigan flipped out so hard on the song.
Yep,
we were having trouble coming up with the band name. He and I put this project together, and Ryan Pickett and Chris Holloway were the other two.
That's right.
And Mike just said one day, "Do you think Greg would mind? I'm thinking about calling the band Collapse. What do you think?" I said, "I love that for a band name." And he called Greg, and Greg said, "Oh yeah, I'd be honored." And it worked out,
Yeah. So maybe next time we'll get you and Chris together. We'll pack into the room and talk Collapsus or Mike.
Get Greg, get Chris, Ken, all of them.
We've got a whole slew of people we could chat with.
We appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
And you guys doing this, because I heard the John Aniello one and flipped out.
Yeah. John's a great guy.
He's my man.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Sure. Who you recorded with.
Correct. With Marat. He did Marat's second album in Hoboken. Came out on Horizon Records, and that guy delivered.
I feel
very easy to work with for me as a drummer. I really enjoyed that experience.
Very good. Well, thanks again for
anything else.
We're
leaving anything out?
We're not.
Oh, we're out of time.
No, we could keep talking forever. We could
anything else about Outside In?
We could do our after hours. Thanks for listening to Public Access Punx. Please like, share, and subscribe to us on YouTube. For more bonus content, you can find us on Patreon.